We are looking forward to spending some quality time on a Monday night with the NHL on Versus, along with the Pittsburgh Penguins and the New York Islanders. From here inside of the Nassau Coliseum, the netminders tonight, Ty Conklin gets to go for Pittsburgh. 50 saves for Conklin the last time he was in this building. And at the opposite end, with Rick DiPietro on the shelf, Wade Dublowitz will work for head coach Ted Nolan. Wade Dublowitz mic'd for sound, and throughout the night, we'll be sharing some of that on-ice audio. Joe Beninati, Brian Engblom, Bob Harwood with you tonight. And Brian, if Evgeny Malkin knows, no Sidney Crosby, he's got the limelight to himself.
Maybe the best thing that happened to Evgeny Malkin all season long was when Sidney Crosby went down. You never want to lose your star player and arguably the best player in the National Hockey League, but Malkin stepped through the door and has been just spectacular. Doesn't matter who he's playing with, but the group that he's with again tonight, Malone and Sikora, they have got some tremendous chemistry, and this New York Islander team is going to have their hands full trying to deal with these three.
Just spectacular numbers for Malkin over the last 24 games. As we are underway, all of us at Versus want to welcome the men and women in uniform watching around the world on AFN, the American Forces Network. We can't thank you enough for your service, and we hope that you're home and out of harm's way soon. New York here at home in the blue jerseys. Bergenheim racing in, and Conklin makes the easy stick stop in the game's first 30 seconds. Malkin wheeling back along with Sikora. Slap pass. On call there defensively was Martinez. Sikora fanned. Malkin swivels one wide.
This line's going to see a lot of Martinic out there for the New York Islanders on defense, but Martinic is playing with the young man Matt Spiller. So you can guess that the difference in experience between Spiller, who's just a young man and really not much time in the National Hockey League, compared to Martinic, Malkin, Malone, Sikora, any of those guys going up against Spiller is going to have his hands full because they're going to test him more than Martinic.
Matthew Spiller right there on the right, number 6 in the blue, the 25-year-old fifth-year pro out of Alberta. He began his NHL career in the Phoenix system. As we're just getting going with NHL action this Monday night on Versus, visiting Pittsburgh in the traveling white. And it's a Pittsburgh team that has gotten the jump on the Islanders in the opening frame throughout the season set. This is Game 7 between these Atlantic Division rivals. Tafe working wide. Jeff Tafe swooping back behind the net. Working against that Islander defense beset by injuries. Ryan Whitney's wrister didn't get through, and Blake Como will tumble it back to center.
Well, Pittsburgh's coming off a game where they just dismantled the New Jersey Devils. Nobody expected that, even the Pittsburgh Penguins themselves. But they said it started with good defense, which turned into offensive chances, and they certainly know how to execute on that side of it.
They were explosive in the third period as Kennedy launched this one right to the glove of netminder Dublowitz. Our Neutrogena T-Gel player profile tonight. We'll be looking after number 55 for Pittsburgh, Sergei Gonchar.
Sergei Gonchar doesn't get enough respect. He hasn't for years. When he first came in the NHL, they said, well, he's got great offensive skills, but he's not very good in his own end. Well, he's a lot better than he used to be in those early years, but still, that lives with him, and he still has to overcome that. He should get a lot more votes from the Norris Trophy year to year than he does.
As the Islanders pilot the breakout with the veteran Brian Berard. That was turned back in by another veteran on the blue line for Pittsburgh. Hal Gill, a centering pass, and Berard right there stationed at the post. Kennedy and Ruutu and Talbot out there for Michel Therrien. Jarkko Ruutu in the midst of a career-best goal-scoring streak.
Yeah, he said he's getting tired of carrying this team. He scored goals in 3 consecutive games, and he said he's tired of carrying the Penguins.
Good-natured guy with a great sense of humor, and considering all the weapons that Pittsburgh possesses.
Yeah, Jarko's somewhere down the list. I wouldn't want to pinpoint it, but it's past halfway.
He's known more for his agitating than for his scoring. Conklin begging for Scuderi to come back and get it, and then he got creamed along the boards by Rieger. Scuderi into the lineup for Pittsburgh. The Penguins are dressing 7 defenders tonight.
Yes, exactly. And Michel Therrien wanted to get Scuderi back into the lineup, so they are going to end up with 7 guys. And Pascal Dupuis is not in the lineup. He returned home as he and his wife just welcomed their 3rd child back into their lineup.
Yes, baby girl Zoe. Congratulations to Pascal and his wife Caroline.
I think Michel Therrien is pretty happy with the way things have unfolded over the last couple of months. I think this Pittsburgh team started to turn the corner way back in the mid-December when they started to accept their defensive responsibilities better than they had up to this point, and they realized, yeah, that's how you can win. At the same time, they still score.
Ryan Malone trying to come back for Marian Hossa. That was deflected away. As you look at these AMP Energy power play and penalty kill statistics, it's a Pittsburgh squad that finds itself hovering around 21% on the season. Ryan Whitney, his coaches want him to be more aggressive. He's learned to read the game better, and that includes time on the power play as Oposo sends out Park for the blast. He scores! Richard Park, shorthanded.
This is exactly what the Islanders and their fans wanted. Over-aggressive play by the Pittsburgh Penguins on their power play, and they give Richard Park, who's been around a long time and senses and sniffs out opportunities. An excellent setup sends him on a partial breakaway. He just loads and fires and just plain beat Conklin, blowing it by them low on the stick side. So Pittsburgh up on the play, playing pretty loose with a lot of offensive confidence, open the door on the back end, and Richard Park steps through.
Richard Park ending a lengthy drought for himself. He had not scored this month. He had not scored in 28 games, to be specific. He's put together back-to-back seasons in which he set career bests for assists. As there's some debris on the ice, Richard Park celebrates the shorthanded goal at .322. Oposo with a setup, and this Islander team, which has so much difficulty scoring goals, gets the jump on Pittsburgh with the shorty.
They're feeling so good about themselves right now. They never expected this to happen. I know Richard Park did 10th goal of the season for him. An experienced guy, a good guy that you really want to sort of cheer for. You can use him in different types of situations, always work hard. Normally he's in working hard situations like penalty kill, and you don't expect him to have the cannon of a shot that he just blew by Conklin.
Ted Nolan, his head coach, says Richard Park has the perfect mindset for the game, that he's always an upbeat, positive kind of guy, and hasn't been the best of seasons for New York. They are not in the playoff contention as Sikora rockets one right to the shoulder of Dublowitz. Pittsburgh still on the power play for another 50 seconds. Letang, rink wide to the veteran Sador. Chris Letang switches the point of attack. Tate fires. Stick save. Rebound. Off the crossbar. It is Sikora celebrating. It looked like it went underneath. Referee Van Massenhoven washed it out immediately, but Brian, the goal light came on.
You're right, Joe, and obviously they're going to go upstairs. The players know when it goes in. Peter Sikora has no doubt in his mind. He just whipped right over to the bench, and he's exchanging the fist pumps with all the plays on the bench. He knows it went in. The light did go on. The referee started waving it off right off the bat. There's a good look at it. It hit the crossbar on the inside, right up and in. Dublowitz, who's not a very big goalie to say the least, is down early on this shot. So it goes up and over his shoulder. Oh yeah, no doubt about it. Off the white crossbar on the back of the net. A terrific shot by Sikora. So Pittsburgh recovers themselves here after giving one away. Park's shorthanded goal. You could tell they came out as soon as the puck was dropped again. There was some anger in their step, and they moved the puck around extremely briskly, and Sikora made a heck of a shot.
Brian, it's the best way to answer a shorthanded goal. Strike on the same power play. Sikora knew it immediately. The reason I hesitated, referee Van Massenhoven washed it right out. The red light came on. Sikora will celebrate as this one goes right upstairs.
Look at the angle he's on. But see, Wade Dublowitz, not only is he down low and is he a small goalie, but he doesn't get shifted over. He needed to push over about another foot to his left in order to shut off that short side. There was actually a lot of room for Sikora, and the skills that Peter Sikora has, he can fill that top shelf most of the time.
Let's talk some more about him as we see that the tally has been credited after video review. Peter Sikora, wherever he's gone, has had the ability to adapt to the system in which he's playing.
I think they've got everything they hoped for and more from Peter Sikora. I think he's just such a smart guy. He knows how to play with anybody. Just give him somebody with some skills that he can exchange the puck with. He did the same job for the Edmonton Oilers before. And everywhere he's been, Peter Sikora has scored goals.
Sikora's power play strike just 36 seconds after the Park shorthanded goal, and a lively start to the NHL on Versus this Monday night. Along with Brian Englot and Bob Harwood, I'm Joe Beninati. We are 1-1 for Pittsburgh in New York. Scuderi, a Long Island native, raised in the Syosset, New York area. Max Talbot hovering in the high slot, a delayed penalty call coming. The officials tonight, referees Van Massenhoven and Brad Myers.
Oh, and Jarkko Ruutu is already under somebody's skin. What a surprise. Jarkko Ruutu, and it's Aaron Johnson. Not too happy with Ruutu. It looks like Aaron Johnson's going to end up going to the penalty box. Possibly a high stick. And somehow Jarkko Ruutu just seems to attract that kind of stuff.
New York penalty number 2, 2 minutes for slashing.
Oh, and it's actually a slash against George Larocque, number 27. So Johnson in the penalty box for a slash and that power play right back on track.
Let's get more on Jarkko Ruutu from Bob Harwood.
Well, he's certainly picked his spots offensively lately, Joe, on a personal best 3-game scoring streak. But I talked to Ruutu recently about timing in terms of raising the level up and the temperature in the game. And he says the message you're sending when you get in the face of the opposition is actually to your teammates. I'll be there whenever you need me. A big picture team thing to say to a bunch of guys who need some physical presence as they make a playoff run. They can seal a position tonight, by the way, to get in the postseason with a victory.
It's a Pittsburgh team with 43 wins and 93 points. Finished second in the Atlantic a season ago. They continue to mature at an accelerated rate and do very, very well without their leader, Sidney Crosby, who's been recovering from an ankle sprain. Gonchar's long wrister that was deadened by Hunter. Spiller swats it around the boards, but not out. Gonchar lets it go. Kick out save by Dublowitz, and it's crunched all the way back by Trent Hunter. Brian, I thought it was interesting earlier in the day, Sergei Gonchar was saying that he looks for Ryan Malone's stick in front of the net the way Lidstrom will look for Holmstrom in Detroit.
Ryan Malone is really good in front of the net. He said he learned a lot from John LeClair in that respect. And John LeClair was one of the best all time. Taking up space, making plays from in front of the net, deflecting pucks and using a big body. Ryan Malone learned well.
Penguins working it well out of that umbrella setup. Whitney side. Gives a glance to the front. Malone was stationed there, bothered by the former San Jose Shark defender. That's Rob Davison, 3 in the blue. Malkin serves it on back for Gonchar. Malkin, beautiful passing. Oh, the combination was incredible. And no finish.
The timing and everything, the way it was constructed, that play was brilliant. But Marian Hossa's ultimate pass in front of the net to Whitney was bouncing, and it bounced right over Whitney's stick.
Hossa off of a 3-assist performance in Pittsburgh's most recent win against New Jersey. They will play the Devils again tomorrow. They will refuse to say that they are looking past this one against the Islanders. They're involved in a 1-1 scrum in the first period.
They have a chance, sorry, Joe. They have a chance to be number 1 in the Eastern Conference after tonight. Same 2 points, doesn't matter who they play, New Jersey, the Islanders, whatever, so you bet. Michel Therrien does not want them looking past this game.
He said our approach has to be desperation every night. Oh, a crushing hit there as Talbot lined up and finished off on Blake Como. And then the Islanders come to the rescue. Spiller wants a word. Larocque gets in there, quite the peacemaker in his own right, as Como comes up ailing.
What a hit by Talbot on Como. That started all. It was a good hit. Como trying to play the puck, had his head down. Talbot seizes those opportunities, and he just steamrolled him.
So the tempers will flare as Como clears out the cobwebs. Atlantic Division rivals getting unfriendly on Long Island on Versus.
We're back in Uniondale where the Penguins have tied things up at 1 apiece with the Islanders. Sidney Crosby watching again tonight. I'm assuming watching again tomorrow night as well?
Yeah, that's the plan. Feeling a lot better, but conditioning-wise, I'm not there yet.
Sidney, what's the biggest challenge with this type of injury? We've seen you try to come back once. It felt good for a while. It's buckled a bit. What's the hardest thing to deal with?
It's one of those things that nags, but I think, for me, I've felt pretty good lately, and it comes down to luck. Hopefully you don't put yourself in a bad position, but really it's just luck.
How well has this team dealt with injuries besides yours? You've had a goaltending situation in terms of building the character that you need from the turmoil that causes you.
I mean, we've been unbelievable. We've done it all year, and I think that's a big part of our success. Teams run into that situation, a lot of times they falter, and then with us, we've really taken that opportunity as far as other guys are concerned and played great.
Talked to a few other members of the Penguins today about transitioning from last year's run to this year's in terms of postseason. How much better equipped are you guys, do you think, between the years?
Well, that first round experience, I think, helped us a lot. And as far as preparing for the playoffs at this point, we've kind of gone through a similar situation, battling for a playoff spot last year. So just preparing for the way you need to play has been good for us here down the stretch.
Michel Therrien says maturity is a word that's seeped in. Would you agree with that?
Oh, definitely. I think we learned a lot, like I said, in the playoff run last year. But as the season's gone along, we've had to step up, and guys are learning from that as well.
Sidney, great to catch up with you. Good luck getting back. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Sidney and Bob, we appreciate it. We are still 1-1, thanks in large part to a spectacular stop from Wade Dublowitz. He stone cold robbed Jordan Staal.
Something about playing the Pittsburgh Penguins. He's 2-0 his last 2 outings against the Penguins, and just an outstanding save a moment ago.
On the move, it's Bergenheim. Wrister, that was spoiled by Gonchar and put off of the rink. The Pittsburgh Penguins would prefer to have number 87 in their lineup, joining forces with Marian Hossa. But here's how they've done without Sidney this season.
It's pretty amazing when you get such a high-level guy like Sidney Crosby. When they leave your lineup, there's a huge readjustment all the way down the line. But that guy has picked up the pace so much that it almost seems like there was no drop-off at all. Malkin has just been so brilliant and such a dominant player that not having Sidney Crosby didn't affect them nearly the same way.
And Brian, deservedly so, in your opinion, an MVP candidate of Malkin.
In my mind, he's absolutely going to get votes for MVP, and he should, because a lot of people looked and went, okay, Sidney looks like he's going to be out for a long time. Pittsburgh's going to drop off the face of the earth. Far from that.
It's a 1-1 game. Richard Park shorthanded for New York. Peter Sikora responds on the power play, his 28th on the year. More than half of those are power play tallies. Brian, yourself as a former player, I thought it was interesting. Sidney says he can feel that ankle when he turns as Malkin revs it up and works the odd man rush. Gonchar supporting. Back comes New York. This is a 3-on-1 break. Guerin for Vasicek. Deep slot. Bergenheim. Great save by Conklin, and the net is knocked from its moorings.
Pittsburgh really pressing up again. Sergei Gonchar up on the rush, got a scoring chance, but nobody backed him up. So Pittsburgh still on the full court press, and 3 guys coming back. Sean Bergenheim's going to end up with the puck. Nice passing play, throws it at the net. Conklin does a real nice job just closing the 5-hole. But he does leave a rebound. Bergenheim goes for his own rebound and almost jammed it in, but he missed it. And by the time he made contact with Conklin, they all went into the net. But the second shot at it, Bergenheim had a chance to bury it, and he just plain missed the puck.
These are terrifically well-conditioned athletes. The point I was trying to make, Sidney Crosby says he's not in shape after missing 6 games. Explain to the viewers what he means.
These guys are so highly tuned, so finely tuned. They do stuff off the ice, and he's doing as much of that as he can without skating. But he wants to be in that top condition field, that game shape, where he gets a chance to work out with his teammates, make plays, and I think ultimately try and twist and turn on that skate a few more times to make sure that ankle is holding up so that it won't cave in on him again, especially with the playoffs so close.
Just about the halfway mark of this first period, and 1-1 with the NHL on Versus. Available to you in high definition. Tyler Kennedy's wrister was blunted there by Matthew Spiller. Martinek, who seemingly each and every night is playing with a different defense partner. Ted Nolan, his head coach, says that's got to be tough on him. Ryan Whitney with a long wrister that's knocked down, and Spiller will clear. Martinek's the only guy, if I'm not mistaken, who was on the opening night roster on defense for New York.
Martinek's a really good, solid defenseman, and I think it's been really tough for him because he's playing with virtually a different guy every night. There's so many young guys in the lineup, so not only is he trying to do his job, he's also trying to keep an eye on the other guy that he's playing with, and that's always a tough thing because sometimes you end up making mistakes and bad things end up happening on your side of the ice because you're trying to do too much.
Malkin silenced along the boards there by Spiller. Islander fans are missing the name Mike Comrie in the lineup tonight. He came down with the flu during the day today. He's been held out of the lineup. Tim Jackman is back from the American Hockey League. A dozen guys on the injured and ill list for New York.
That's scary. A dozen guys, including their top 4 defensemen.
Hal Gill towards the goal mouth. Malkin knocks it down. Curl and drag around Martinek, who recovered very well. Malkin snares. Leaves it at point position for Gill. Thunder on the way and well wide. Letang creeping in from his point position. At even and full strength, these two teams go 5-on-5. Pittsburgh out shooting New York 8-4. Martinek launching one in from center as Ted Nolan gets the shift change on the fly. You watch Letang work the control breakout.
Well, whether it's power play or 5-on-5, Pittsburgh has the puck most of the time. That's obvious. And they're spending a lot of time in the Islanders zone. What they have done, though, is left the door open for those odd man rushes.
Hunter's blast was weakened on the way. It's vacuumed up by Conklin. At the other end, Dublowitz wearing the mic. We'll hear from him next. We are 1-1 on Long Island. Wade Dublowitz wearing the mic. And this on-ice audio offering direction and encouragement.
Jimmy! Nice block! Attaboy, Freddie! Get this, Mills! Go! Skate! Get the net! Get the net! Nice stick, attaboy! Good job, Phil!
Excellent encouragement to all his young defensemen. Good stick position in front of the net to his defenseman, trying to tell one defenseman, get the net. You can use that as a way to slough off a guy who's trying to check you. It didn't quite work out the way he wanted to, but always encouraging, and goaltenders love it when guys block shots.
Brian, as a former NHL defenseman, goaltenders communicate in different ways with you.
Yeah, and some guys talk more than others. Dublowitz talks quite a bit. Others don't talk that much. They're very selective in what they do, and they're just concentrating on the game. So, it's very much a personal thing, and you get used to whoever you're playing with.
Aaron Johnson got clipped with a high stick as we send you to Hockey Central and Bill Patrick.
Pittsburgh penalty number 38, 2 minutes and high stick.
Bill, thank you. No Russian-born player has ever won that scoring race.
That's going to change.
Jeff Taves got the high stick up on Aaron Johnson, and he will serve 2 minutes in the penalty box. As we drift below 8 minutes to go in the opening stanza. The AMP Energy power play statistics are coming your way. John Bergenheim and the Islanders in the blue. Just over 15% on the season. The Penguins penalty killing, they know they want to improve that with the playoffs on the horizon. Berard quarterbacking from straightaway, knocked down by Ryan Malone. Shatan sneaking in. Throws it to the front, knocked aside by Conklin. Miroslav Shatan scored and ruined Martin Biron's shutout bid last night in Philadelphia. Vasicek. Goal line extended. There's Bergenheim. Shatan walks in and drives. That was stopped. It took a bite out of Malone. Another long-range bid hummed wide by Vasicek. Berard keeps it moving. 5-on-4 for New York. Talbot and Orpik, Malone and Gonchar protecting Conklin. To the goal mouth, Guerin was there. Shoved off the angle. Bergenheim. Point blank, stopped by Conklin. Vasicek was set up splendidly. They raced forward along the boards. Malone did not clear. Shatan with a good rotation. Berard leans into a blast. It went well wide. Tafe serves another 34 seconds. Vasicek slowing the tempo. Eyed there by Talbot. The captain is Bill Guerin. Outside for Berard. Inside for Guerin. Orpik got in the way. Talbot looking to golf it out. That did not get through. Berard walks in, shortens up on the delivery. Conklin makes the save.
Simple and effective power play. The Islanders doing a nice job. Sustained attack. Those penalty killers for the Pittsburgh Penguins were really tired out there. But the Islanders unable to capitalize. Brian Berard, in one instance, almost turned a disaster into a scoring chance as his initial shot was blocked, but he stayed with it. Berard will do that for you. And then Bergenheim moved the puck extremely well. Guerin, they rotated well and didn't stay in one position. I think that helped them a lot.
Davison cranks it up, and it finds a home in the webbing of Ty Conklin.
And the Pittsburgh Penguins, one of the things that they have to fix as they go into the playoffs is they don't kill penalties very well on the road. In fact, on the road, they've been 77%. That's a bad number on a penalty kill situation, and they gave up some scoring chances here so far.
Park just won a couple of faceoffs rather cleanly. Davison working the wall. 4 shots during the manpower advantage. It now expires as Tafe leaves the sin bin. 5:55 away from a Dodge intermission report with the NHL on Versus. As behind the play, there's some pushing and shoving. The officials need to separate Tafe and Davison. Penalties to come. We'll detail them for you in just a moment. We'll get you back to Long Island. This is the NHL on Versus.
NHL game number 4 for Kyle Oposo. What's different about this level from the other 3 you've played at in the last year or so?
Well, obviously the guys are bigger and stronger and better, and, everything happens a little bit more quickly, and you just got to move the puck a little faster.
And the jabs from behind on the bench by the teammates are a little more vicious, too. Big defenseman is definitely an obstacle you're going to see a lot more of. Do you think of yourself as a power forward already at this level?
Not yet. I found I have to get stronger at this level to try and continue what I do to got here. And, I just need to keep getting bigger and stronger, and then maybe I'll be a power forward in this league.
Kyle, best of luck the rest of the way. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, Joe.
Right off the draw, Dublowitz with another sparkler, Bob, as he made a good stop there on Hossa. Pittsburgh goes to power play opportunity number 3. 1 for the first, 2. The salvo provided by Sikora. Hossa cranks it up right into the shin pads of Trent Hunter, and that'll click back to neutral ice.
The Islanders cannot make a habit of this. A couple of consecutive penalties. That's more puck possession, more puck movement, more confidence for the Penguins.
Hossa's pass too hot to handle for Malkin, and Letang will retreat. If you're just tuning in, Richard Park shorthanded, Peter Sikora on the power play, all in the same special team situation, and we are 1-1 with 5 minutes to go in the first. Freddie Meyer will pounce on it for New York. Sikora takes care of him. Hossa deals. Whitney slap pass looking for the deflection. It went beneath the tape of Sikora.
What a heads-up play that was, though. He wasn't trying to shoot at all. That was a slap pass, and Sikora just couldn't quite handle it.
He loves that wrinkle. In particular, Whitney does that so well when Crosby's in the lineup. Giving ground, it's Whitney. Force speed Sikora. They overload this side. Hossa jostling there with Martinez, who went down in a heap. Centering pass clicks right on through the goal mouth. Hossa in the duel along the boards. He looks like he's skating very, very well after coming back from that knee injury.
He gets involved everywhere. Hossa on the boards, in the middle of the ice. He can handle the puck. By himself, he can score goals, but he can move it around, too.
Hossa rips it right to the gut of Dublowitz, and he will squeeze.
Well, for Teddy Nolan, it's been a tough year, and it's coming to a tough end. They started with training camp at the beginning of the year, and it's almost like training camp again, he said, because he's got so many new phases in the game. 12 players are hurt. His top 4 defensemen are out, so he's back teaching again and trying to instill these guys. You have to keep going on the pride ethic. We're looking at you and how you play now every bit as much as we did in December, even though the circumstances are not what they want to be.
As Hunter maneuvers back to center, this was a point that you were addressing with Ted. It's almost like a training camp type period. No break-in, especially for those young defenders. 1-1 with the NHL on Versus. We've got some waste management trivia for you. Which is the last NHL team to have 2 different players win the MVP award back-to-back? A season ago, Sidney Crosby won it for Pittsburgh. Malkin is definitely a candidate this year, among others. Which was the last team to have 2 different guys win the MVP in consecutive seasons?
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't know the answer to that one. The MVP voting will be very interesting this year because I think it's going to be spread out through quite a few guys. And the most interesting one will be Ovechkin, because if Washington does not make the playoffs, will people want to vote for Ovechkin and for a team that doesn't make the playoffs? Some people feel very strongly that way and won't vote for players on non-playoff teams.
Capitals have a huge game tomorrow night in Raleigh at RBC Center. They'll square off with the Southeast Division leading Carolina Hurricanes. Big one on tap tonight in Montreal. Ottawa and Montreal with respect to the Northeast Division and the Eastern Conference race. It's just about the best time of year as Bill Guerin wheels in offensively. Guerin, his first year as a captain, and Ted Nolan has said that he has been adjusting on the fly and that he's done a nice job with it.
He really helped settle this team in at the very beginning of things. Billy Guerin introduced everyone to everyone else. He was like a cruise director at the beginning, and he's done his share on the ice, too. One of only 2 20-goal scorers that the Islanders have this year.
We are 1-1 inside Nassau Coliseum. Montreal, we understand, has the early lead against Ottawa. Andre Kostitsyn on the board as Georges Laraque needs to be separated from Rob Davison.
Rob Davison gave Larocque a couple of extra shots. They had a collision on the boards, and they're almost with another one coming here. Davison takes it this time from Jarkko Ruutu. He's going to get softened up a little bit on this shift.
Ruutu feeds the point. Letang fires. That was weakened by Bergenheim. Deflection in tight, and it pinballs around, and it winds up for Vasicek back through center. Oposo, the 19-year-old rookie. His college career, parts of 2 seasons at the University of Minnesota. Sikora fires, and it was Dublowitz never flinching there. He was screened. There's a penalty call to come with less than 2 minutes to go in period 1. Back to Bill at Hockey Central. Just a great race, Bill. Just a great race. Montreal's last division title, 91-92.
Montreal's got a real good team this season. Right up at the top of the charts in the Eastern Conference. Pittsburgh Penguins could pass them tonight with a loss in Montreal. And the Penguins winning this game tonight. Montreal's all-around game, I think they play a little bit more physically than they did last year and the year before. That power play is just so incredibly dominant for the Canadians. It's propelled them to a lot of wins this year.
Jarkko Ruutu gets the gate for unsportsmanlike as Orpik low bridges the Islander bench. The faceoff will come in Ty Conklin's neighborhood. Back in the Pittsburgh territory as we share time with Bob Harwood.
Well, Joe, to explain why he's in the box, he thought he got clipped by a high elbow at center ice and went after the player. I unfortunately couldn't see who it was on the Islanders, but he engaged them, dropped the gloves, pushed him around a little bit. Ruutu, I'm talking about, in front of the benches. Don Madden-Bassenhoven let it breathe for a second or two, but when Ruutu wouldn't back off, it seemed like he pounced on the moment. And I've been observing that so far all night. The referees are giving a second or two for scrums to break up, and then they're chiming in and saying, move it along, guys. This is getting too chippy. So they're policing a testy affair so far.
Yes, they are, Bob. That's true. It was Sean Bergenheim that took a run at Ruutu and separated him from his stick. Ruutu's stick went flying about 50 feet back into the Pittsburgh zone. And that's what got Ruutu all fired up, and then he went back at Bergenheim. Bergenheim didn't want to fight.
Como leaves it in his wake for Park. Park will feed Berard. The Islanders go to the power play. A long blast. No worries for Conklin. This is a New York team that's deadlocked with Pittsburgh at 1. They've had some issues with respect to their power play. Look at these numbers over the last 18 games.
Well, the first power play in this game, they got 2 or 3 decent scoring chances, some good looks at the net, and they passed the puck around extremely well. They need somebody to stand in front of the net. Kyle Oposo got cleaned out on that last shot, and he's finding out every game, every shift, just how big and strong defensemen in the NHL are.
As Malkin will clear it. 1 minute, 15 seconds away from that Dodge intermission report. Be heading back to Hockey Central, checking in with Bill and Keith and Eddie O. As Como works the flank. Developing quite nicely, according to his head coach, Ted Nolan. Como's first NHL goal came at the expense of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Right now, Como and the Islanders have to retreat back. Dublowitz, not quite in Rick DiPietro's class handling the puck, but he's not afraid to use that goalie stick.
Not many goalies are in DiPietro's class handling the puck.
DiPietro out of the lineup, done for the year. Hip surgery. That's been a troublesome area for DiPietro the last couple of campaigns. Stahl fighting for it along the boards. A long wrister from Berard. Gloved out of the air by the mountainous Hal Gill. He didn't clear. Bergenheim for Vasicek. On top to Berard. Vasicek fires. Rejected there. Conklin covering up down low. Jordan Stahl, an outstanding shorthanded threat on the crisscross with Malkin, but offside Pittsburgh on the break.
Hal Gill was acquired from the Toronto Maple Leafs at the trade deadline. We had a little chat with him this morning. And he said he's still adjusting. He's almost there to the system that Pittsburgh Penguins played compared to what he did in Toronto. Even though he's a big man and known for what he does in his own zone, and that's why the Penguins got him, he still was pretty active offensively in moving up the ice with Toronto. He doesn't do it as much here for a couple of reasons. Mainly, they let the forwards do the work here in Pittsburgh, but also who he was playing with a lot, and that has been Letang. Letang is a smaller guy who moves up the ice well, so Hal Gill has stayed back more.
Brian, that'll do it for one. Ty Conklin squaring off with Wade Dublowitz. Dublowitz kind enough to wear the mic for us tonight. We'll be sharing on-ice audio from him throughout. 1-1. Pittsburgh got one from Sikora. The Islanders got one from Park. As we continue with this Atlantic Division duel. The Dodge Intermission Report is coming up. Back to Hockey Central in a moment. We'll be checking in with Bill, Keith, and Eddie O after the break.
The NHL on Versus is brought to you by Dodge. Live life to the fullest. Dodge, grab life. Dodge, the official vehicles of the NHL.
We've played 20 minutes inside Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum. This is the NHL on Versus. All that Islander tradition hanging in the rafters. 1-1 after one. Joe Beninati, Brian Engblom, Bob Harwood with you. And Brian Whitney will be very, very important over the next few weeks and into the playoffs for the Pens.
No doubt about that. I really like the way this guy plays. He came into the league. He was all legs, great skills, and he had to learn how to play defense like all young defensemen do. But he's getting more patient. And he said instead of trying to lead the rush, he's in the wake right behind the forwards. He's kind of getting sucked along, and he's the fourth guy in the zone, especially when Malkin goes in the zone with the puck. He does a little curl up like Wayne Gretzky used to do all the time, and Whitney likes to be that late guy coming.
Said something interesting that the coaches often say to him, consistently good. If you're consistently good, that makes a great player. That's
a good line.
That runs counter to what John Tortorella says in Tampa Bay when he says good is the enemy of great. So coaches have their own sayings and slogans.
Exactly. How you use the words to motivate your guys.
Offensive zone for Pittsburgh. Nice rotation there for Gonchar as he was challenged by Guerin. We're just getting going with the middle frame. If you're tuning in with us a little late, Richard Park shorthanded. Peter Sikora on the power play. And we are level at 1. And these two teams will do it again at the Igloo in Pittsburgh on Thursday.
Islanders did a nice job on Gonchar in that last offensive chance. This D really activates for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and Gonchar was right there, front and center, along with Ryan Whitney that I just spoke about. And the Islanders were wise to him. They're looking for Gonchar moving in. Otherwise, he had a great scoring chance.
Gonchar zipped the pass ahead. It came on through Sikora. The foot race to the end line, and it's touched up. As the linesman Perret says, icing against Pittsburgh. We share some time here with Bob Harwood and the Pittsburgh perspective.
And certainly from the point of view of Mike Yeo, Joe, he thinks there's just too much physical play without a purpose. Wants them to be a little bit sharper, a little more decisive when they raise the temperature in the game. Obviously, very, very happy to have some road energy and some road physical presence. He thought it cost them a bit of momentum in the first period. Needs to see them dial things back a little bit from the chippiness standpoint here in the second.
Two squads that know each other very, very well. Dead even in shots after the opening 20 minutes, 12 apiece. Pittsburgh on top in the Atlantic Division. The Islanders in the number 5 spot out of the playoff mix. Malkin swooping in. Evgeny Malkin lowering that shoulder. Blake Como comes to call on him. Malkin, Sikora, and Malone. A trusty trio for Pittsburgh.
The Steel City Trio. I like the way they call them that because Sikora and Malkin played together in Magnitogorsk during the lockout, which is a Steel City in Russia, and Malone was born in Pittsburgh. So the Steel City line is a great line for them.
It all works so well together. As Conklin will slow it up and bat it around. Ty Conklin has a birthday on the horizon. He'll turn 32 Sunday. Talbot driving in along with Tyler Kennedy. Back behind for Ruutu. On the centering pass, it went off the shin pad of Talbot. Skated to safety by Miro Shatan. On the crisscross with Jeff Tambolini. To the goal mouth and right on by. Hal Gill looking to reverse. It clicks to the front. Conklin will melt it. Folks, tomorrow night, doubleheader NHL action on Versus. First, 7:30 Eastern. It'll be Flyers and Rangers. And then at 10:30, we'll go west. The Sharks and the Coyotes. The playoff push definitely on tomorrow. Starting 7:30 Eastern, the Stanley Cup playoffs. Remember, they begin April 9th right here on Versus. And how about the San Jose Sharks in the midst of an unconscious run? They've won 14 of their last 15 overall.
They were a machine, too, against Anaheim the other night. They beat Anaheim 2-1 and absolutely shut them down and locked them up in the third period to get that win.
Joe Thornton deserves to be in the MVP discussion.
I really think he does. Absolutely. He's been forgotten about a lot. There was more talk about him in the first half of the season when nobody else was doing anything offensively for San Jose. They were winning games, but Thornton was producing all the offense almost single-handedly. Now there's less talk about him, but I think Thornton should be in there.
Dublowitz with a stop on Malkin. Evgeny Malkin, the 21-year-old Russian, tops on this Pittsburgh team in goals, trying to reel in Alex Ovechkin for the NHL point scoring race, and against the Islanders, just about a point a game.
Yeah, and 44 goals, Joe, and I definitely would not bet against him getting 50 goals before this season is over. Got a handful of games left to do it, and he's got the skills and the drive, and I'm sure he'd love to see that nice round 50.
A backhand bid for Tafe. Dragged off the boards by Vasicek. Islanders trying to relieve the pressure, and they will. Brooks Orpik will hustle back to play it. Orpik, a college hockey standout, an All-American at Boston College, and the NCAA races are heating up this month. Postseason tournament action is always electric. Martinek comes wing to wing for Garrett. Right back for Martinek at the line. Sharp angle. Shut down there by Conklin. Orpik will serve it ahead. Marian Hossa, bothered by Garrett, forced him back. Sergei Gonchar takes over. On through Tafe. It'll come the length of the pond. Dublowitz says icing, and the linesmen agree.
Kyle Okposo coming out for another shift, his fourth game in the National Hockey League, and Okposo is an interesting guy to watch. It's incredible what he has gone through in one season to go from college to the World Juniors to the American Hockey League to the NHL, all in the space of a couple of months. In some ways, though, I was thinking about this, Joe, I think that might be a help. Sometimes when these kids make a huge jump from one level to the other, it's too difficult and it overwhelms them. He's gone up the small steps in a right progression or order to slowly ramp it up, and his problem has been adjusting from one, a set of circumstances, if you want to call it that, to another. But I like the progression, and it's probably helped him get to the NHL in a short space of time.
Put one foot in front of the other.
Yes.
Kyle Okposo, his father Kome, of Nigerian descent, came to North America when he was 18 years old. For more on Okposo, here's Bob.
Says that one thing that he was battling with a little bit is being decisive in terms of shooting. When I've got the puck in traffic, sometimes I'm thinking a little too much, I guess. That's the perspective on a kid who was a 2020 guy in his first and only full year at University of Minnesota. 40 or so points in 40 games, so he knew what to do in both situations, but he wants to learn how to shoot and trust the shooting instincts just a little bit more and realize that some good can come from that as well.
Yeah, Okposo's got well-rounded experience. When we talked to him, Bob, he told us he actually played defense as a kid up until the time he was 14. Then he played wing, and then he was a centerman at high school and in college, and now he's back playing wing here in the National Hockey League, because young guys, they don't like to throw him into the fray at center ice right away because there's so much responsibility in the NHL at center. Kyle Okposo, as much as he's been through, has still got to experience a little more in the NHL before they start throwing him in there, I think.
This is Maxime Talbot on the dump down. Berard turns away, and Talbot has it back behind Dublowitz's cage. Finding Ruutu. For Gill, a long-range slapper, and Dublowitz to the splits to deny. 14:45 to go, second period. 1-1 for the Islanders and Penguins. Sikora on the board for Pittsburgh. Park for New York. Kennedy fires, and that was a sizzler that went wide. Gill leans into the blast that didn't get through Freddie Meyer. Kennedy as the Penguins continue the cycle. Ruutu. Answered by Shatan. Letang forced to give up the line. Then he coughed it up to Shatan on the move. Drop pass. Jeff Tambellini. One more to Hunter. Shrugged away by Conklin. Jeff Tambellini. We spent time talking about Kyle Okposo. Tambellini and Okposo were housemates in the American Hockey League in Bridgeport, and Kyle admitted to us with both of them up here, nobody's really watching the place. Shatan fires, it's knocked away. Follow-up chance, and a good one for Aaron Johnson that didn't get through the mix.
Hal Gill with a big sliding save there. Islanders coming with a real good push. And Ty Conklin had to make one good save on the rush. The Islanders haven't had much up until this point.
Malkin trying to create for Malone. The pass was deflected behind him. Johnson makes the beeline back through center. Colleton leaves it. Regier fires. It's Steve Rieger who let that one go. Another of the American Hockey League call-ups. Rieger 48, Colleton 72. Jackman just up from the AHL with Mike Comrie out of the lineup tonight, bothered by the flu. Malkin put it off the boot of Sikora as he hounds Davidson into the corner. Davison trundles it ahead. Rieger, full flight. Marked there by Sador. A guy like Daryl Sador gets all the more valuable, Brian, as the season progresses and as the postseason begins. We'll have more on that when we get you back. It is 1-1 at the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum. The Islanders looking for the lead. No sail.
The goaltending situation in Pittsburgh was a little hairy at times, but Ty Conklin stepped in when Marc-Andre Fleury was out for a long stretch and did an absolutely brilliant job. I think from his standpoint, he had a chance to relax, knowing that he was able to get on a roll and didn't have the pressure of Fleury being there. Bob, you talked to Fleury this morning. What did you get from him?
Well, Brian, that it's almost the flip side in terms of not at all being threatened by the presence of a veteran as a backup or a co-number one so far in the second half of the season. He said, I can go to this guy. I can ask him if he's seen a hole in my game. Ty Conklin's been around. He's seen a lot of systems, very generous with his information, and he says he's a great teammate and somebody to bounce ideas off of, and we're co-number ones in our mindset right now.
So when you look back on it, this goaltending situation has worked out really well. All the while, Danny Sabourin has made a nice contribution too. 3 goaltenders with 10 wins or more. Sabourin has 10 as well too.
Cramped quarters over on the Pittsburgh bench here at Nassau Coliseum. Marc-Andre Fleury doesn't even get to sit with his mates. He's in that walk-off tunnel as these two teams work 5-on-5. Marian Hossa dropped down to his wallet there. Freddie Meyer hovering over him.
Well, those backup goalies, they're like relief pitchers. They should be off by themselves anyway.
Bergenheim plays it. Vasicek moves it. He stalls on the wing. Guerin rips it off the crossbar. A rocket.
That was on his stick, and then it was off the crossbar, and there was nothing in between. It disappeared.
Bergenheim got hit up high. He was clutching towards his face as he makes his way back to the bench. Vasicek reloads. It's snagged by Conklin. 1-1 here on Long Island as Bergenheim receives some attention. Back to Billy Guerin in this blazer.
Yeah, Sean Bergenheim has been a good story for them this year too, but let's go back to the shot by Billy Guerin from the slot. You can't see Guerin in the picture, but he just snapped that one. Billy Guerin has tremendous release, and you can see Conklin tried to shrug that one off. It was already by him.
Bill Patrick at Hockey Central told you Bill Guerin's over 1,100 games in his NHL career. A 20-plus goal scorer, 11 different seasons, including this one, on an Islander team that for the most part of the campaign has been goal-starved. 1-1 in a low-scoring affair tonight with their Atlantic Division rivals. The top gun in the Atlantic, Pittsburgh Penguins for the moment. Big doings in the Northeast Division tonight we'll share in a moment as Como makes the last attempt on Conklin, a kick-out stop. Como feathers it back behind the net. There's Park. Scuderi in hot pursuit. Como hiding back behind Conklin. Larocque there to defuse it all, but not get Pittsburgh clear just yet. Now he will. As Martinek will fetch. Radek Martinek, 31-year-old native of the Czech Republic.
And the New York Islanders doing a much better job on a more consistent basis of getting the puck up the ice and getting sustained pressure inside the Pittsburgh zone.
The Islanders were the team that worked last night. They fell to the Flyers. An important 2 points collected for John Stevens' troops. As the Flyers look to maintain their spot on the Atlantic Division ladder or even climb in the remaining 2 weeks. It's an icing call against Pittsburgh. Back to Bill Patrick at Hockey Central. Those are the two highest scoring teams in the East, Bill and Brian, and we expected them to put the red light on quite a bit tonight.
That's a big game for Montreal because Ottawa has owned Montreal this year. They are 5-1 against Montreal coming into this game tonight, so a 2-0 lead, and trying to slap Ottawa down a little bit is big for the Canadians.
Super talented rookie Carey Price hasn't beaten Ottawa this season in 2 previous encounters. He's in the nets tonight and backstopping the 3-0 advantage. Halfway through regulation right now are we with the NHL on Versus. Available to you in high definition. The Islanders at home in the blue. Jeff Tambellini fires and Conklin got the pads together. And he'll cover up. We'll have more right after these words. Brian, with respect to the league scoring race, 2 Russians command our attention.
Yes, Evgeny Malkin has been brilliant. And that other guy in Washington, Ovechkin, yeah, he lights it up and lights everybody up everywhere, every time he plays. Look at the points that these guys, along with Jarome Iginla, who is another guy who will be in the voting for most valuable player in the National Hockey League, too. Jarome Iginla has played great.
Should Ovechkin get one more this season, he will set a Washington Capitals single-season record with his 61st.
Formerly held by Dennis Maruk.
Maruk got his 60 back in 81-82, the same year the great one went for 92.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
It kind of got overlooked. 60 is a great year, and then Gretzky gets 92 goals. That's just wrong.
Colleton hammered along the boards by Gonchar. As the Penguins in the white sweaters make a break for it, the passing combination doesn't work. Aaron Johnson slugs it in. Conklin, a good job to slow that hard around down. Bergenheim whistles it behind the cage, and Conklin does it again.
Joe, I didn't get 92 goals in practice that year that in the NHL.
Oh, my. 92 tallies. Was that the same year he did the 50 and the 39? I'm guessing it was.
I really don't know. I don't remember.
Johnson with a wrister that was blocked. Orpik is there, up in arms with Bergenheim. 8:45 to go, second period, and 1-1. Both of the tallies in this game back in the opening period. Park shorthanded, gave the locals the lead. Sikora responded on the same power play. You're all caught up. And looking at Malkin working feverishly with Vasicek. Whitney on the other flank. Able to scale it back onto the Islanders' side.
Again, more good forechecking, more sustained pressure for the Islanders. They had very little of that in the first period, but their confidence level's coming up offensively.
Vasicek, pretty pass. Guerin fires and scores! Bill Guerin.
Now, how's that shot for precision? Billy Guerin, who whipped one off the crossbar, probably a little angry about it and having it not go in the first time around. This one, he puts in off the goalpost. His head is up all the way, and that's that magic release I talked about. Little whip on the stick, a little lean, great release, looking top shelf, short side the entire way. Excellent setup by Vasicek, who drifted into the middle and then threw it back to the outside to give Billy Guerin time and space to fill the top shelf. That is a goal scorer's goal.
23 markers now for Guerin. 4 this month. He and Blake Como sharing the Islander lead in the month of March for goals. New York right back on top. Out shooting Pittsburgh 21-14. George Laraque, Jarkko Ruutu, Maxime Talbot out there for Michel Therrien. And the visiting Penguins. The Penguins have a date tomorrow in Newark, New Jersey with the Devils, having just pasted them recently over the weekend.
And that's the game they're supposed to be forgetting about tonight, right? And they're down 2-1 in this game, so their focus is back, certainly. But what the Islanders have done here in this second, by having sustained pressure in the offensive zone, it's also taken away, obviously, from the time of possession of the Penguins that they had so much of in the first period.
You just look at the injured list for New York and go, oh my, what in the world can they do? But they won't sit there and tell you that they are undermanned by any stretch. They are working their tails off and fighting the Penguins. For the moment, they've got the upper hand. As Talbot leaves it in his wake for Ruutu. Back for Talbot. And he sent it wide of Dublowitz.
Nice little touch and go. Sorry, Joe. Nice touch and go situation there. Ruutu and Hossa going to the net, putting pucks into areas and then having players go into those areas to get them. That was right on the doorstep.
Those timing plays, those plays into space are so pretty to watch. Hossa just seems to have a sixth sense about him. And he's used to playing with other highly skilled players.
Exactly. He knows what to do to help them, and he knows how they can help him. They read the ice the same. That's the key about great players playing with great players.
Marion admitted, though, he didn't get any of that from his daddy. His father, Frank, was a pro hockey player back home. Stay-at-home D, and Marion said, no skill. No skill.
It's a thankless job.
Yeah. Heck of a coach, though, Frank Hossa. Letang, a dipping drive that went wide. Chris Letang will turn 21 next month. Oh, to be young again. As Letang makes a touch-up, it's an icing against New York. And here's your Dodge storyline. It started back in the opening period with Richard Park.
Richard Park in that short-handed situation, that was a beauty. Okposo gave him the pass. He ripped it past Ty Conklin. And then Peter Sikora on the short side on the power play, top shelf, up over Dublowitz. That was a precision shot. And then Billy Guerin, we just saw him smoke one, same top shelf, short side, and the Islanders are back in the lead 2-1.
Guerin, who had not tallied against Pittsburgh this season prior to tonight, gets his goal from Vasicek and Martinez. Just 13 shy of 400 in his career for Bill Guerin, which spans some 17 seasons as a pro. Malkin loosens it up for Sikora. Ryan Malone very good along the boards. Protects it well. Sikora pivots. Freddie Meyer jumps into the rush. Meyer breezing back through center. Orpik there to collect it. There's a penalty call coming. Referees tonight, Don Van Massenhoven and Brad Meyer. It's Meyer who says slashing. We'll tell you who's guilty when we get you back to the Coliseum on Versus. Here's on-ice audio with Wade Dublowitz, a goalie playing traffic cop.
Icing! You got it, Marty. You got it. You got time. Good stick. Got it, boy, Davey. You got time. One guy coming. Comes. Wheel. Reverse. That's a nice play.
That's the biggest thing the goalie can do for his defenseman. Let him know what's going on behind his back. It's icing. You go back and touch it up. Everything is good. The reverse, he was calling for a reverse. His defenseman didn't do it. He said, oh, okay, that's okay. Good play. Just a suggestion.
It's all you. Vasicek, sharp angle, Bergenheim. That clicked off the outside of the cage. Guerin comes to the point position for Shatan. Another manpower advantage for the Islanders. Guerin, wrister, deflection, rebound, score! Bergenheim on the follow-up.
That was a costly penalty by Peter Sikora, and the New York Islanders are really rolling now. The key is Billy Guerin circles the top of this face-off circle, walks right into the middle, and nobody takes him. He's already ripped one off the crossbar and the other one off the goalpost and into the net. That got all the Pittsburgh Penguins' attention. A good shot on net, and then the follow-up by Bergenheim on the rebound, and he stashes it by Conklin. Pittsburgh Penguins bench not too happy. The Islanders really starting to roll now.
Ted Nolan says Sean Bergenheim is a very, very character player. His first 9 tallies this season were all at even strength. That's his first power play goal on the campaign. And it gives the Islanders a 2-goal bulge here at home.
Well, that was the penalty kill. We talked about Pittsburgh. It's one of the eyesores when you look at their stats this season on the road. The Penguins in their last 2 games coming into this had been good. Excuse me, the last 4 games. But they're not looking as good tonight on their penalty kill here, and Guerin made them pay.
They were a perfect 4 for 4 when they waxed New Jersey their last time out. They are down to the Islanders by 2 on enemy ice tonight with the NHL on Versus available to you in high definition. 4 minutes and change away from a Verizon Wireless intermission report. Bill Patrick working with Keith Jones and Eddie Olczyk tonight at Hockey Central. Big shout out of thanks to all the men and women in our technical crew assembled tonight on Long Island, Uniondale, New York to be specific. Malone rolling in with Malkin. Malkin so smooth. Drops it blindly there. Nobody was there to take it. And Shatan will get it to center.
Edzo back in the studio tonight, straightening Jonesy out and helping Bill Patrick do that job. It's a big job. Appreciate that, Edzo.
You would know it very, very well as Shatan has that one stoked off the rink by Hal Gill. Let's check in with those boys, specifically Bill at Hockey Central. And those are always lively, Bill, those differences of opinion. Curtis Foster injured on an icing play, and that always sparks debate about automatic icing.
Yeah, should there be no-touch icing? Well, being a former defenseman, I certainly would like to see no-touch icing. We'll see what the boys talk about in the intermission, and maybe I'll follow up with that.
Just less than 3.5 to go in the second period. 3-1 for New York, as the Islanders, the only team to tally in the second period. 2 goals, 3 minutes and change apart from Guerin and Bergenheim. Jeff Tambellini pushing and shoving with Letang. The good exit pass starts Tafe back through center. Tafe was voted American Hockey League All-Star while he was up on recall, and he's never been back since. Tafe, 38 in the white.
I think you'll take that trade off anytime.
Definitely.
Want to stay in the NHL. That's why you go to the American Hockey League, to hone your skills and learn the game. You get a chance to play right here.
Penguins tonight missing Pascal Dupuis as Stahl moves in. The Cora's blast blocked. Follow-up chance. Ditto. Pascal Dupuis home with his family, celebrating the birth of his and Caroline's 3rd child. Baby girl Zoe today.
Yeah, that's great. Congratulations to the Dupuis family.
Mike Comrie out of the lineup for New York, missing with the flu. That's prompted the recall from Tim Jackman. There's an interference call and some harsh words exchanged between Malone and Jackman. This Wednesday, Versus brings you World Extreme Cage Fighting. One of the best stories in sports. An All-American who served 2 tours in Iraq, facing the Rhino for the light heavyweight belt. Brian Stann meets Doug Marshall. WEC Live from Vegas, Wednesday at 9 Eastern Time, right here on Versus.
Sounds like there might be some cage fighting going on in the studio in the second intermission coming up. Stay tuned for that, folks. And Tim Jackman in the penalty box. There have been a lot of harsh words exchanged between these two teams at whistles at times tonight, and Jackman ends up in the penalty box in this situation. So Pittsburgh with some momentum and time on the power play to get themselves back in it.
Brian Stann, to be honored on many fronts. He's actually won a Silver Star for his heroics in Iraq. And he'll be front and center Wednesday with cage fighting on Versus, as we carry along with the NHL action tonight, available in HD. Meyer plays it back to center. Shouldered there by Malone, and the hard-working Hossa on the back check. Islander fans were unappreciative. Malkin hits the brakes. Delivers it for Hossa. Marian Hossa back to point position. Gonchar all day to shoot. Stopped by Dublowitz. Rebound. And the diminutive netminder will cover.
Marian Hossa out there looking for rebounds, and Hossa is waiting to play with Sidney Crosby. I heard the guys in the studio talking about that Malone and Malkin and Sikora have been such a good combination that maybe Malone will end up a swingman playing with Hossa and Crosby. For all I know, it could be Pascal Dupuis. Pascal Dupuis is a good two-way player who's been trained really well. I could just see Sidney Crosby coming up to Hossa saying, hey, it's you, me, and Dupuis.
Oh, no.
And they'll get better reviews than the movie did, I think.
You were saving that one.
I've been sitting on that for minutes.
Pascal Dupuis with 9 assists in the month of March, second only to Evgeny Malkin, who's been on a blistering pace. Gonchar on the send-in. Pittsburgh in the white, trailing by 2 with just 80 seconds to go in period 2. And this is an Islander team that's been just about airtight this season when they carry a lead after 40 minutes. Whitney, cross ring. Gonchar next. Power play time dwindling down to 40. Whitney scanning the defense. Kennedy to a better shooting lane. Fires. That's rejected by Martinek. And he'll launch it back out.
And Martinek's got to be a key guy on this penalty kill. They're doing it without Brendan Witt, who is hurt. And he is their #1 penalty killer, their best defenseman, shuts down things in the middle of the ice, directs traffic, etc., etc. Brendan Witt's been out for a while, and he's especially missed in penalty killing situations by the Islanders.
Witt, Gervais, Campoli, Sutton, all ailing on the back line for New York.
And they all would be in there in some shape or form in a penalty-killing situation. But Brendan Witt is the man there.
Kennedy delays at center. 18 seconds with which to work in this middle frame. Park careful to get it out with the help of Jackman. 10 seconds in period 2. Good hustle. Hossa hot-foots it back, stopping Jackman in his tracks. 3 seconds now, 2. A last thrust stopped by Conklin at the final horn of the second period. The Islanders and the Penguins were 1-1 after one. Guerin and Bergenheim have built the lead for Wade Dublowitz to protect as we get set for a Verizon Wireless intermission report with the NHL on Versus. George Larocque and the Penguins hoping to bring the noise to Long Island. It'll be Bill, Keith, and Eddie O on the other side of the break with our Verizon Wireless report.
The NHL on Versus is brought to you by Bud Light. Endless refreshment from start to finish. Bud Light keeps it coming.
Pittsburgh has won 5 of its last 6 games overall. They're inside of Nassau Coliseum tonight. The Islanders have the advantage. 3-1 through 2 periods. It is Joe Beninati. It's Brian Engblom with you for the NHL on Versus. Some will say Pittsburgh's been flat tonight, but Brian, you want to give credit where credit is due to the Islanders.
The Islanders took over that second period. They did it methodically, strategically. They did a nice job of getting offense going and sustaining it inside the Pittsburgh zone. Early on in the game, it was all Pittsburgh Penguins. They had the puck all the time. They were deep in the Islander end, but the Islanders made adjustments, and they realized what they had to do, picked up on some things, shut down the middle of the ice, got to the big puck carriers like the Malkins, and didn't give them as much time and room. And because of that, the Islanders had the puck a lot more themselves.
And they do to start this third period with the NHL on Versus. John Bergenheim, one of the goal-getters for New York, along with Bill Guerin and Richard Park. Park was a shorthanded goal back in the first. It started the scoring tonight for New York. Pittsburgh's lone response, a power play tally from Peter Sikora. This is a Pittsburgh team that has racked up 7 goals and 3 of its last 4 at home. So we know how productive they can be, and we know that they can explode on you in the third period.
This game is set to be controlled by the Pittsburgh Penguins because they have more firepower and guys who can control the puck more. So it's up to them to reestablish their game here in the third period, or let the Islanders continue to take them apart the way they did in the second.
An evening ago, the Islanders were eliminated from playoff contention with their loss in Philadelphia. They are not playing one of those hang-your-head type games tonight. Instead, they are taking it to Pittsburgh. As Davison will slug it in. Rob Davison, who had been a healthy scratch for so long on Ron Wilson's blue line in San Jose. Ted Nolan had to get him up to conditioning speed when you sit out that long. Malkin hovering in the corner. Evgeny Malkin just 1 shot on net in the first 2 periods.
Yeah, this young D for the Islanders has done a real good job, and they're getting support from their forwards. Guys like Spiller are getting support, Aaron Johnson and Rob Davidson, as you mentioned. Joe, wasn't playing really at all in San Jose before he got traded here to the New York Islanders. So they're up against a group of Pittsburgh Penguins who can take you apart, but they're certainly not letting that happen.
Shatan playing well in tight spaces there along the boards, didn't get it clear. Wade Dublowitz is in the nets for New York. Dublowitz wearing a mic for us tonight. We've been able to share some on-ice audio from the Islander crease from time to time. As Shatan steers wide, fires off the boot of Ryan Whitney. Joe Beninati, Brian Engblom upstairs. In a matter of moments, we'll be checking in with Bob Harwood. He's our ringside reporter here at the Nassau Coliseum, where Pittsburgh has won 2 of its first 3 visits.
Oh, Malkin just got drilled as he let that shot go. Tim Jackman saw Malkin had his head down and was ready to shoot it in. Put the shoulder right into his chest.
Jackman 6'3", 210, and by many scouts' account, he hits like a truck.
Malkin can attest to that.
Menard with a wrister, and Dublowitz got the glove on that.
Evgeny Malkin was at the end of his shift, so you're always a little bit more tired, and he just wanted to get a good shot into the zone. Timmy Jackman had him lined up. There's Malkin taking the shot, and you can see he's headed right towards Jackman. Hadn't even noticed him yet. Jackman made sure that he noticed him, but Evgeny Malkin's been hit before. He's no small guy on his own right.
Oh, no.
He's got some huge size. He's extremely strong. He just dusted himself up and got right back out. Jackman would like to hit him 1 or 2 more times at least before this one's over.
Malkin's good friend and Russian countryman Sergei Gonchar was looking at Malkin earlier today saying, look at him, he's so skinny. Think about what's going to happen when he puts on weight and adds to that frame.
True.
Oh,
That's
my
true.
goodness.
Exactly. It takes you till you're about 25 or 26 to really start filling out. You can really only put on healthy probably about 8-9 pounds, something like that a year. Otherwise, you start putting too much too fast and you can lose your skill level. Although you could probably cut back about 25% of this guy's skill level, and then he'd just be average. But, of course, we don't want that, and he doesn't want that.
Just a terrific season for Malkin, and likewise for Sergei Gonchar back at the blue line for Pittsburgh. I don't think Sergei will draw a lot of Norris Trophy attention, but he's got that type of point total.
He's always in that rung just below the top level guys who are always looked at, like the Nick Lidstroms, for good reason. I'm talking about Lidstrom now. But Gonchar does so many things so well. He's number 2 in scoring among defensemen again, and he usually is. The last 5 years, he's right up there at the top of the list of all defensemen when it comes to points, whether it's power play or 5-on-5 combined. Gonchar always gets it done, and he's not nearly as bad in his own end as he's often criticized for.
There he helps to make the clear. A lot of people in Boston will chime in and say Big C, Zdeno Chara for the Norris this year.
He will definitely get some votes. Chara's had a terrific season.
Talbot to the goal mouth. That was answered by Martinek, and back come the Islanders with Joseph Vasicek. Vasicek on the hook. Coming late, it's Davison. Bergenheim throws it to the front, and on patrol was Tafe with a steal. Malkin maneuvering down the flank, and Davison has him barred from the front of the goal. Marian Hossa just off the bench. Michel Therrien sending him out there along with Ryan Malone and Evgeny Malkin. Whitney fires. It's stopped by Dublowitz, and he'll cover as we share time in this third period with Bob Harwood.
Guys, a quick prediction. We might not have seen the last of the rough stuff, because I can tell you that the Twin Towers, Gill and Larocque, circled Jackman as soon as that hit was over on Malkin. From the Islanders' standpoint, that might be one more hurdle they have to cross tonight and handle well. And Gerard Gallant told me between periods the impressive thing about this 3-1 lead is that the responsible play has happened 200 feet long. It's one thing to ask young kids to forecheck aggressively. That's where the rewards are. He said, we've been winning battles at center ice and in their own end and ours as well. So it's been a full-length shutdown so far.
And a job well done. Orpik keeping it to the outside for Hossa. Bear hugged by Meyer, who gave the all-star winger a shot. Meyer lost his hockey stick in the process. Orpik flails it into the far corner. There's Hossa. Leaving it on the cycle game for Malone. Malkin stopping and starting. The best players work so very well in small spaces. Malkin without his trusty superstar running mate Sidney Crosby. The ankle keeping him on the shelf. Sidney not expected to go tomorrow when these Penguins will be in a first place dust-up in the Atlantic Division with New Jersey. Como on the move. Blake Como trickles it into the far corner. Hunter to the goal mouth. Whitney knocked it from harm. Hunter gets it again. Annually among the league leaders in body contacts, the hit leaders. You'll find Trent Hunter there each and every year.
The guys, when you go in the locker room with all the ice packs on them, those are the ones after the game.
We've got a whistle and a holding penalty. We've also got some waste management trivia from earlier in the night. We asked you this one. It has to do with most valuable players. Malkin is in the race this year. His teammate Sidney Crosby won it last year. Can you name the last NHL team to have two different guys go back-to-back with the MVP?
That's a good one. I had no idea. I got a little bit of a hint from our producer, John Norton. So it goes back a long ways. That's the only hint I'll give you. It's more than 20 years since it's happened.
If I'm right, it's two giants of the game.
Yes, Hall of Famers.
Think 70s. Vasicek able to win the draw. How about the numbers for Vasicek in the first 2 periods, and now up to date, he is 12-1 on faceoffs tonight.
Owned him in key situations. He's done a terrific job. Faceoffs are a very large part of the game, and they get increasingly so as you get down into the playoffs.
Berard lets it go. Rebound. Vasicek was right there, and he could not get to that loose puck.
That's because Scuderi got there first. That was a terrific defensive play by Scuderi. He robbed Vasicek before Vasicek could shoot it into the empty net.
Jordan Stahl gone for holding. Scuderi into the lineup for Michel Terry, and the Penguins dressing 7D with Pascal Dupuis not in the lineup tonight. Berard hurriedly back through center. Scoops it off the rink about 5 rows into the spectator seats.
Coverage in front of the net is so tough for defensemen anymore. You can't tie a guy up because you take penalties. The forwards hold all the cards. Watch Vasicek. Empty net for a second, but a really quick stick and a job very well done by Scuderi, who turns around and slaps that puck away, gets stick on stick, and makes contact with the puck first, at the same time clearing it out of harm's way, where Vasicek has a slam dunk.
Earlier this season on Versus, we had Montreal in here, a Long Island homecoming for Mike Komisarek and Christopher Higgins. Same for Rob Scuderi, who hails from nearby Syosset.
And speaking of Mike Komisarek of the Montreal Canadiens, that's a big blow for them. He's going to be out 2 to 3 weeks with a lower body injury. He is their #1 shutdown guy and has had a fantastic year for the Canadiens. So that certainly will hurt Montreal, although early on tonight against Ottawa, it wasn't hurting them on the scoreboard.
Ottawa has won 5 of 6 from Montreal this season, but the Canadiens at last check had a 4-1 advantage. You can make it 5-1 for the Habs as they exact some revenge against Spezza and Alfredson and Heatley. Islanders working it on the outside. Martinek's bid knocked down by Talbot, and he'll clear.
Speaking of Spezza and Heatley and Alfredson, that trio for Ottawa had outscored the entire Montreal Canadiens team 14-11 in those 5 victories that they had so far.
Amazing numbers. The other 2 games tonight will come out west, and they will both involve Northwest Division matchups. That Northwest is still incredibly tight as Gill dumps it in. Calgary's in Colorado. Minnesota's at Edmonton before the night is through.
And the Edmonton Oilers have been incredibly good over the last 2-3 weeks especially.
With Dwayne Rollison finding his game between the pipes. 3-1 for New York. 8 minutes down in this 3rd period. Stahl to Malone. To the front for Hossa, and he jammed it off at Davison and wide. Miroslav Shatan coughed it up on the cross ice pass. Good read by Letang as he was tripped up. Pittsburgh gets a much-needed power play when we return with the Islanders in control. The Islanders won't be adding any more championship banners to the rafters here at the Coliseum. They do have a 3-1 lead, though, in a very physical game.
Yeah, there's been a lot of give and take when you get 2 teams that are in the same division and you get this late in the season. There are a lot of things that have been pent up and a lot of stories that they'd like to pick up where they left off the last time they saw each other. And there's been a lot of jawing at each other, too. I love that stuff. That's what the NHL is all about.
Sure is. Davison gets the gate for tripping. It'll be power play number 5 for Pittsburgh. Without Crosby this year, the power play is just less than 27% effective. Sikora has a power play goal tonight for Pittsburgh's only marker. Malone in a log jam there with Hunter first, and then the big defender working in back Matthew Spiller. Malkin skipping a man for Whitney, and it went right over his tape.
Eddie and Jonesy brought up a great point talking about the Pittsburgh power play without Crosby has been statistically far better. And I think when Crosby comes back, I think it would be smart. It's a good point to have Malkin's unit like it is, or it looks similar to now, and then have Crosby come out on the next unit, whether it's 1 and 1A or 1 and 2, whatever you want to call it. Maybe don't mix them in together. Maybe don't have Malkin and Crosby out at the same time. You imagine having Malkin in one group and Sidney Crosby on the other, then you get the best of both worlds. Statistically, it makes a lot of sense.
Be tiring a lot of penalty killers out. Sikora away from Berard. Malkin is next in line. He chooses Gonchar. Sergei shakes it back to center.
It's not even a fatigue factor. For the defenders, it's the nightmares they have in the afternoon when they're trying to take a nap.
Jeremy Colleton on it for New York, 72 in the blue. Rieger going to the net. Conklin answers that and then makes the handoff. It looked like a quarterback running the option and almost putting it on the turf.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. And he makes the handoff into the side or the thigh of the running back.
Never any good as it's backhanded wide by Stahl. He parks himself in the high slot. Whitney works on the outside. Malkin fires. Kick out save by Dublowitz. Halfway through this third period, Pittsburgh still down 2 with the NHL on Versus available to you in high definition. Malkin on the give and go right to the cage. Stopped by Dublowitz. Another sparkler in tight. He robbed Jordan Stahl at that end back in the first period.
He was out just close enough to Malkin to get that shoulder on it.
Magical moves there by Hossa, picking up Jordan Stahl. Hossa energized right to the cooker. Dublowitz down, makes another save. Follow-up chance for Letang. He couldn't get it triggered, and Colleton gets it out.
Good second effort by Colleton. That's the kind of stuff you need in a dicey situation with some tired bodies out there killing the penalty.
Stahl holding. Leaving it behind his back for Hossa. Late in this shift as the Islanders get back to full strength. A one-timer from Stahl deflected down. New York unofficially outshooting Pittsburgh 30-21, leading them where it matters most 3-1, and looking for more here with Bergenheim. Down the wing, Guerin, drive! And it was Conklin with a stick save as Guerin tried to go 5-hole.
That was the chess match.
End-to-end, Kennedy did not stay onside. Offside Penguins. 3-1, Islanders have the advantage, and Wade Dublowitz with some terrific work between the pipes. 3-1 New York, a future Wade Dublowitz in the stands. Doobie does really do talk a lot. And he's a chatterbox.
Holding a stick, help him out. Freddie, stick's right behind you. Behind the net again. Behind me, yeah, Davey.
Constant instruction to his defensemen about what's happening behind them. Be their eyes for them. Great job by Dublowitz. That kid in the stands is about half the size of Dublowitz, too. Only got a little ways to go before he'd be the same size. He's been huge in this game, though.
You're mean.
He's been huge in this game. That save off of Malkin where he came out and confronted him and got the shoulder on it was outstanding.
Listed at 5'10" generously. He's played like he's 6'4" tonight. And his team has a 3-1 advantage as a result. Sador wins the race. It's an icing against New York as we send you back to Hockey Central and Bill Patrick. Bill, thank you. We'll look forward to it. Calgary and Colorado, Minnesota and Edmonton, those Northwest Division games that you're referring to. The Wild in a bit of a bad spell. They've lost 5 of their last 8, 4 of them in an overtime or a shootout.
It's Colorado that's really in the bad spot, though. They've really got to pick up their socks. They're right down in the 8th spot precariously with 3 or 4 teams chasing them. They've got to get some wins going.
Colorado's lost 4 in a row. They have been good at Pepsi Center lately. They've won 5 of their last 6 a mile high. Malkin and the Penguins trying to put together an inspired comeback in the third period. They are trailing by a deuce. Malone rips it. Dublowitz got the pad in the way. Hal Gill keeping it alive for just a second. Jeff Tambellini looking to play it out. When Tambellini was recalled from the American Hockey League in Bridgeport, he was leading that league in goals. He got it ahead for Shatan to fire. And it trickles wide. Stop attempt. Hunter! Score! Trent Hunter with insurance.
Pittsburgh was really ragged here. Hunter is able to come in and pick up the loose change, but the play started coming out of the Islander end when Gill and Letang got split virtually the whole width of the ice apart. When your defensemen are that far apart, bad things are going to happen in between them. The Islanders come up on the rush. The initial shot goes behind the net. Then everybody's in scramble mode. You have both defensemen going to Shatan. Shatan is able to get it by Gill. When Gill gets back in position, Hunter was behind him. Hunter stashes it in the empty net. Conklin had no help there.
Shatan had the game-winning tally when these two teams first collided here this season. That was at Al Arbor night when Ted Nolan brought the help to bring back the Islander great at age 75 to coach his 1,500th NHL game. It was Shatan who had the game winner there. He set up Hunter splendidly to give New York further breathing room. Spiller fires, and that's rejected by Ty Conklin.
And that was Wade Duplowitz who had to win in that game, too, because DiPietro got hurt during the game. Couldn't finish it. Duplowitz came in and got the win.
He took a stick, Sidney Crosby's stick in the eye. Had to leave the contest. Tafe and Stahl and Sikora on ice now. Sikora fires, and that's turned away as Duplowitz covered the short side.
Now the Islanders have really smoothed out because they're working hard, they're working smart, and that's all coming in the right direction. Going to the net like Hunter did, turning on the Jets, focusing in the right place, gets him a free goal right on the edge of the paint. The Pittsburgh Penguins are on the opposite side of things. They're not working hard and smart in the right areas of the ice, and because of that, they're down 4-1.
Islanders eliminated from playoff contention. They've lost 7 of their last 8. You wouldn't know it by their performance tonight. They were the team that had to work last night. They lost in Philadelphia. Pittsburgh knows they've got New Jersey on the horizon, but they have put forth a clunker in this one.
The NHL on Versus is brought to you by Waste Management. From everyday collection to environmental protection, think green, think waste management. And by Verizon Wireless, official wireless service provider of the NHL.
From here at Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum, the New York Islanders have a 4-1 advantage. The Penguins will get a power play. Jeremy Colleton has a seat. Michel Therrien asked of his Penguins to play this game tonight with desperation. To this point, they have not put forth their best effort. Not on their best behavior by any stretch.
And this is the only way they can get themselves back in it if they get hot on the power play. The Islanders can't continue to take penalties here with 5.5 to go.
4-1 for New York. Wade Duplowitz with 24 stops. Filling in for the ailing Rick DiPietro. Ryan Whitney holds. Layers one to the front off the Spiller. And it's an easy clear for Richard Park.
It's amazing to watch the personality of a game change, and the personality of the Penguins. They were so loose and flowing in the first period, just controlled the tempo and everything. And now the structure of the game is changed. You don't see that confidence level on the power play or 5-on-5, and it's because the Islanders systematically took it away from them.
Michel Therrien musing from behind that bench. Duplowitz plays it on around. Malone. In a tussle there with Vasicek. Gonchar works the power play point with Whitney. Gonchar fires right to the crest of Wade Duplowitz. Sergei Gonchar is our new Trojena T-Gel player profile. We've been chasing him around tonight.
19 shifts, lots of ice time. That's easy for him. He controls the game so well. That's one of the great assets that he has. With the puck on his stick, he's as good as most forwards in the NHL. Coming out of the zone, he can thread the needle with long passes, has a bullet of a shot from the point. And Sergei Gonchar is their most valuable defenseman on the back end for the Penguins.
Only Nick Lidstrom, league-wide among defenders with more points than Sergei Gonchar. Only Alexei Kovalev with more power play points, the fine forward in Montreal, than Sergei Gonchar. And still 25 seconds left with which to work for the guys in the white sweaters, who need one and need one in a hurry. Letang. Sightseeing on the outside for Sador. Sador measured there by Meyer. Sikora head high and off the rink. It was deflected over top of the glass.
I talked to some of the young defensemen on the Penguins today, Chris Letang and Ryan Whitney, and asked them about the progress in their career and certainly this year and what it's meant to them to play more and more games. And Letang said, I have to find a way to play well against big guys. Letang is not very big himself. When they were out playing against San Jose last time, his coach put him out against Joe Thornton a lot. And Joe Thornton is a huge man, protects the puck as well as anybody in the league. and Letang's at a huge disadvantage. So we have to learn literally how not to get himself in a negative situation against Thornton and have to fight through that size. That's experience that teaches you that.
Hossa slots it, Letang fires, and Dublowitz read the play extremely well.
And that's the defense again jumping in. Whether it's just from the point in or coming all the way from their own zone, the Pittsburgh defense activates as well as pretty much any group in the NHL.
4-1 New York. Both teams playing at even strength. As this is offside against the Islanders, let's check back with Bill at Hockey Central. Very much so, Bill. I'm sure Bell Center is hopping in La Belle Provence. That building routinely sold out, 21,000 plus. They've got to be roaring their lungs out.
Oh, yeah, especially against Ottawa. They'll be loving that.
Conklin will tee it up and wait for Hal Gill. Gill brushed it to his defense partner, Scuderi. Good-looking outlet to Maxime Talbot. Eddie Olchuk in our studio tonight. When he was the head coach of Pittsburgh, always admired Talbot for his battling ability. A real grinder, bloodhound out there.
You need guys like him on your team if you're going to be successful. Talbot's a heck of a player.
Park will loop it ahead. Richard Parks had a hand in this one for New York. A shorthanded goal back in the opening period. 2.5 to play regulation time. These two teams will see each other once more. The Islanders will be in Pittsburgh on Thursday. Doubleheader NHL action on Versus for you tomorrow. Hope you'll tune in with us in crystal clear high definition. Joe Beninati, Brian Engblom, Bob Harwood down the stretch tonight, with the Islanders savoring this one 4-1 over the Pens. The 5th place team in the Atlantic has the advantage over the squad on top.
And the focus that the Penguins had in their last game against New Jersey, where they throttled them 7-1, the great focus they had was a huge advantage to them. That focus was not here tonight. They weren't able to focus on the things they needed to against the New York Islanders, and it's cost them here tonight. Let's go downstairs to Bob Harwood.
Well, guys, you mentioned Pittsburgh intensity and desperation. You didn't see very much of it on the last power play, but on the one before that actually led to the Islanders grabbing a 4-1 lead, Wade Dublowitz was extremely busy, as he has been all night, but really much more in-your-face presence in terms of Pittsburgh forwards, mostly because of the exhaustion that his teammates were suffering with. And Brian, the one way I thought he responded is he went out a little bit further to the top of the crease. This is a small guy making himself a little bit bigger, almost like he took charge of a situation he knew was, I don't want to say unraveling, but changing in front of him in terms of fatigue on the part of his teammates.
Yeah, that's true, Bob. Because he's not a big man, Dublowitz definitely has to get out and get close to the puck, because when he goes down on his knees, there's just so much room up above his shoulders, more so than most other goalies in the NHL.
Sergei Gonchar in the penalty box for high sticking. Dublowitz has not had to stare down any of Sidney Crosby's attacks tonight. Crosby missing with that ankle problem, and Sidney keeps saying that nobody's really been able to figure out how to speed up the healing process with that high ankle sprain.
Yeah, it just has to take its course. Sergei Gonchar is in the penalty box. He's number 55 in white, and that is a nasty shot up the side of the head of Freddie Meyer, and that's good reason he's in the penalty box.
As the Islanders have a healthy lead late in the 3rd period, Conklin makes the stop. Marc-Andre Fleury will be in the nets tomorrow. Michel Therrien said that this morning when the Penguins clash with the Devils. I think we know who the Devils will go with.
Yeah, I got a pretty good idea there. Marty Brodeur will be back in. Marc-Andre Fleury knew that he would not be in tonight. Michael Therrien wanted to give him a rest here and there. Ty Conklin, who we mentioned has played so well for the Penguins, has not got a lot of support in his own end in tonight's game.
Chatan straight away for Berard. One-time Guerin knocked down by Conklin. Wade Dublowitz at this end has not allowed more than 3 goals in any of his last 9 starts. Pierced just once tonight by Peter Sikora on the power play back in the 1st. This one caroms wildly to the front, ushered away by Conklin. He kept his cool
That's become the epitome of the way this game has turned against the Penguins. That almost ended up in their net. Just one of those bad caroms off the stanchions of the glass.
Islanders 45 seconds away from celebrating a victory. It'll be their third against Pittsburgh in 7 tries. Maxime Talbot checking the rearview mirror. Picking up Ryan Malone. Powering his way down the flank. 1-on-3. Gorgeous move. Malone didn't put it away. Dublowitz hung in there with him.
Dublowitz did a great job there. Ryan Malone had that one on a string. That was some beautiful, nifty handwork there. But Dublowitz just outweighted them there. Malone wanted him to go down early and try to throw it upstairs, but Dublowitz just slid with him.
Stahl thrusting into this rush. Dublowitz paddles it away. As Oposo spins with it. The Islanders sellout crowd rises to its feet to celebrate a 4-1 victory.
Wade Dublowitz has got their number. He did a number on him again tonight when they really needed the goaltender. New York Islanders, Wade Dublowitz stepped up and did it. He had excellent support in front of him. The young defense did a strong job, and this Islanders team deserves a lot of credit for this win tonight. They took it going away in the second and third.
Great job.
They did. Wade Dublowitz getting congratulations and giving some just the same. We thank him for wearing the mic tonight. The Islanders pick up the win by 3. For Brian Engblom, for Bob Hartwood, for all the men and women in the crew. Joe Beninati, thanks for your time. Islanders win as we send you back to Hockey Central. And here's Bill Patrick.